What's up, guys? I'm a person that dives headfirst into hobbies, and I've fallen off the cliff of quite a few in my time, whether it be audio, gaming, peripherals, whatever I'm into. I just kind of engulf myself in content around it. So it's been easy for me in my content to target those same people, those that are super into disc golf. But when I watch videos for my other hobbies, it always seems to be that there's some comments at the top saying, I'm completely new to this. Where would you start today? Or what do you wish you had known? So I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to go over my top 5 things that I wish I had or knew when I started disc golfing in around 2007. Obviously, a lot of these things either weren't around or just not super well known back there. So this is my list. Let me know in the comments what yours are, see where we agree and disagree. But I'm going to go ahead and get right into it with my first one, which just is UDisc in general. Now, obviously, there's been some drama around UDisc recently with the pricing changes and, what all premium gets you. But at its base level, even just UDisc.com is such an incredible resource for finding good courses near you. This will get you a list of all the courses near you. Anyone that's putting in a disc golf course now has their course on UDisc. That is one of the top priorities. And these reviews, for the most part, are generally very reliable. So if you are a local to Lincoln, Nebraska, is just where I pulled up for this video, it seems to be some quality courses around there. This helps you plan road trips. I know I personally, anytime I'm in an area I'm not typically in, I will take a look at UDisc just to see what courses are around me. Even if I have no intention of playing them, I just kind of want to see what's up, see what's around. So that is just even the base level website free app. You don't have to pay for anything. You also don't have to pay anything just to keep score in the app, but there are some benefits to being a paid member. I will say I went through a period of really wanting to improve at disc golf for a while, and I think that keeping advanced stats and tracking that, especially if you want to improve at a specific course, can be incredibly helpful. If you're a stats nerd, I'm an analyst by trade, so obviously I'm super into that, but just being able to take a look at your trending data, stats over time, where you can improve your game is also incredibly helpful. But even at its base, UDisc in general is just an incredible resource that, again, I wish I had very badly back in the day. On to number 2, and the second thing I wish I knew when I started is to start with neutral and, more importantly, lightweight discs. Now, I'm probably a worst case example. I started out with a max weight destroyer, which is top 3 worst discs you could start with. But even now, I think a common misconception that even advanced players have is they need to be throwing max weight discs. Lighter weight discs are easier to get up to speed, easier to see their intended flight characteristics out of, and in general probably go farther than most max weight discs that people are bagging now. Really, the only con to bagging lightweight discs is they get tossed around in the wind a little bit, but if you're not from my previous example of Nebraska, Kansas, somewhere where it gets super windy, you will benefit from bagging something lighter weight. I think discs in the 160s are incredible to start with, and even in my own bag, most of my distance drivers are around the 168 weight, so still something lighter that I have an easier time getting up to speed, and I see that extended range, the extra distance from. On the other side of that coin, I think neutral discs are the best place to start. Now, not something super overstable, again, like that destroyer, but also I would shy away from things that are incredibly understable, at least the majority of your bag. Oftentimes you'll hear people say not to start out with really overstable distance drivers as it'll cause bad habits in your form, which is true, but I think the same can be true if you're incredibly used to throwing something that is very understable. You can have trouble working off that hyzer angle and learning more shot shapes if all you're throwing is like a diamond or something that will flip up very easily for you. Those are great discs to start with and great discs to have in your bag, but I would lean into more neutral and having a good base of throwing something flat and getting a straight flight from it. On to number 3, and if you know me, you knew you were not getting out of this video without me talking about flight numbers, so let's get into it. Let's talk about flight numbers. At its base, flight numbers are a great guide, but that's kind of where it stops. Now, I pulled up Infinite here. One thing I really like that Infinite does is it aggregates its flight numbers based on reviews versus what the manufacturer says, but there are just simply too many variables when it comes into creating a disc, creating the product, to be able to that accurately predict how it's going to fly. Plastic, weight, some believe plastic, color, the run of the disc all really factor into how that disc is going to fly, that it's impossible to say exactly how it's going to fly for you unless you go throw it. Now, flight numbers are great for comparison. They're better in comparison in the same manufacturer than between manufacturers. Again, that's why I think it's good that Infinite does these based on reviews, as some manufacturers can lean more towards, more understable flight numbers. Companies like Viking Disc really cater more towards the AM side, what a beginner would see from that disc versus a more experienced player, so on and so forth. There's so much variance between companies that it can be hard. Again, Infinite's a great source because the reviewer flight numbers, but be careful when you're going between manufacturer to manufacturer. And again, flight numbers are a guide. They're a good guide. It'll get you started, but just go throw the disc, see how it flies for you. That is the best way to figure out how that disc is going to fly. This kind of naturally leads me into number 4, which is simply just not to be too picky about the brand or manufacturer that you're looking for when you're buying new discs. I'm, again, a terrible example of this. When I started, there was really just Innova and Discraft, and for whatever reason, I just decided that Innova was sick and Discraft was trash. And I have thrown maybe like 3 or 4 Discraft molds to this day, which is pretty criminal still, honestly. So don't get into that mindset. Every manufacturer has inconsistency. Don't let trolls or people online tell you that X disc is better than another one for whatever reason, or this has flashing and this doesn't. Every manufacturer has issues, consistency problems. Every manufacturer puts out high quality products that they stand behind. It's very hard to get a very bad disc at this point, luckily, in where we are in disc golf. Finally, point number 5, my last point, is a pretty simple one, and it's just not to get overwhelmed with too much advice and just have fun with it. Since disc golf's explosive growth in 2020, there are now hundreds of disc golf content creators, even hundreds that are specifically focused on you as a beginner and helping you improve, which is a good thing and a bad thing. I think one of disc golf's biggest draws, especially early on, is that low initial learning curve. It's really easy to kind of get better quickly when you start, and there's a lot of content focused on that. So it can be pretty easy to hyper focus on more distance, better putting, fixing your form, whatever it may be, and that can kind of take some of the fun out of the game. Unless you're a person that really loves improving and diving into that, go ahead. There's a ton out there for you, but don't let that lose kind of that initial wonder and kind of wanting to get better at the game. That will come naturally with repetition as well. And again, especially as there's like literally thousands of YouTube videos now on how to be better at disc golf, I'll quickly say my piece on it. I don't think form is the end all be all of being a good disc golfer. And as a disc golf YouTuber, I'll say the easiest way by far to get views is to make a video explaining how to throw farther. And I'll say there are much more and much less qualified people out there with those videos. Just make sure you're getting that information from a reliable source. I think one of the most tried and true methods for improving your own form is to model your form after a pro with a similar build and body type to you. One of the biggest things that make it hard to recommend form changes to people is everyone's body is just different. My arms are a different length than yours. I'm built a little bit different, so it can feel much different. Realistically, the main key is you want to get into the power pocket. Again, this is not a form video. I'll just say that there's a lot out there. Use reliable sources. If all else fails, find a favorite pro that's built somewhat similar to you and model after them if you really want to go after that hyper-focused form improvement work. In the same vein, you'll hear a lot of noise around what manufacturer is the best, what disc is the best, and what slot. I'll echo quality products for every manufacturer. They'll all get the job done. Well, those are my top 5 tips or things that I wish I had known or had when I started. Let me know, again, yours in the comments below. And let me know if this style of video is something that you liked. This is pretty different for me, but something I wanted to try. Thank you guys a ton for watching. When I'm finally not sick anymore, hopefully I'll be throwing some of these things and back out on the course and making more typical content. But just wanted to try something new. Appreciate you watching. Let me know how you liked it down below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that bullshit. And I'll see you guys again in the next one.